Welcome back, awakened soul. I'm Luna Celestine, and if these words are reaching you right now, trust that it is no accident. A doorway is opening in the heavens, rare, profound, and deeply transformative, and today you stand right at its threshold. May 24th, 2025, is not just another date on the calendar. It is a turning point, a cosmic moment that many will sleep through unaware of its magnitude, but not you. For this is the day Pluto, the planet of transformation and raw inner power, speaks its first clear message since entering Aquarius at the end of 2024. This is Pluto's voice emerging in a new era. And that voice, it is calling directly to the core of who you are. Imagine this, the sun symbol of your identity, vitality, and conscious self, joining hands with Pluto, the ruler of death rebirth, and the mysteries beneath the surface in one of the most harmonious and empowering alignments we know, a trine. This isn't about chaos or destruction. It's a quiet uprising, a subtle but undeniable surge that moves through every layer of your being, bringing truth. Where there was confusion, clarity where there was fog, and strength where you once felt small. You may have already felt it rising, a sense of quiet, knowing, sudden moments of insight, a deeper awareness of what no longer resonates. You may have noticed that certain patterns or people feel different, distant, less connected to the truth you're stepping into. That's not your imagination. It's the soft echo of Pluto's footsteps as it begins its 20-year walk through Aquarius, reshaping how we live, how we connect, how we evolve both individually and as a collective. So what comes next? What exactly is this alignment asking of you? In the next part of this journey, we'll dive into 8 powerful shifts that this cosmic moment is awakening in your intuition, your emotions, your relationships, your body, your choices, and your soul. Because when the sun shines on Pluto, nothing can hide, and everything that is ready to transform will begin to rise. This is not just an alignment. It is a cosmic unveiling, the kind of moment astrologers speak of in reverent tones, the kind that only graces our skies once in a great while and leaves behind it a trail of irreversible transformation. On May 24th, 2025, the sun, the brilliant core of your conscious identity, forms a perfect trine to Pluto, the shadowed keeper of truth, power, and deep personal rebirth. In astrology, a trine is the most harmonious of aspects. It doesn't force change. It invites it with grace. It doesn't disrupt it, realigns it, refines it, clears a quiet path through the noise. But this is more than a beautiful trine. This is Pluto's first whisper from within the innovative, uncharted landscape of Aquarius, the sign of collective consciousness, technology, vision, and the future. Pluto has only just entered Aquarius after more than 2 centuries, and it will remain here for the next 20 years. That means what's being initiated on this day is not a fleeting mood or passing insight. It is the seed of an era. And this alignment with the sun is Pluto's first true message in this new realm. A declaration not in thunder, but in subtle certainty. The future is being rewritten, starting with you. You may not hear it with your ears, but your soul recognizes it. This alignment marks the official beginning of Pluto's work in Aquarius, a kind of energetic inauguration. And unlike the loud, jarring transformations often associated with Pluto, this one arrives like a silent awakening. It doesn't break down the door. It opens it wide and gently and asks, "Are you ready to step through?" It asks you to consider the identity you've carried until now and whether it truly reflects the soul you've become. It asks you to remember your purpose, your voice, your light, not as a task, but as a birthright. What's extraordinary about this moment is how naturally it can unfold if you let it. There is no pressure here, only presence. The harmony between the sun and Pluto means that what rises to the surface will do so with ease, not to overwhelm you, but to empower you. A hidden truth about yourself may reveal itself not as a shock, but as a homecoming. An old fear may lose its grip, not through battle, but through quiet irrelevance. You are not being asked to destroy the past, you are being invited to grow beyond it. And this beloved soul is the rare magic of Sun Trine Pluto in Aquarius. It is the first breath of a 20-year transformation, and it begins with you turning inward, listening carefully, and saying yes to the path that already knows your name. When the sun trines Pluto, something sacred stirs beneath the surface, not with thunder but with a quiet exhale, as if the soul has waited long enough to be seen. This is not the kind of transformation that rips you open with chaos or forces you to confront the shadows in panic. No, this is a softer alchemy. It arrives gently through dreams, through sudden memories, through the return of feelings you thought had long since vanished. Old wounds resurface not to haunt you, but to be witnessed without fear. Emotional layers that have been folded and tucked away for years begin to lift not in disorder but in grace. You may find yourself thinking about moments from childhood that you hadn't recalled in decades. You might remember the sound of a voice, the weight of a goodbye, the shape of a promise that was never kept. But what's different now is that you don't feel lost in those memories. You feel sovereign within them. You're able to see them with wiser eyes, with compassion, with clarity. This is the power of Pluto in harmony. It doesn't drag you into the underworld. It walks beside you as you descend so that you can retrieve the parts of yourself you once left behind. And as the emotional tides shift gently within you, your intuition sharpens like crystal. There is something uncanny in the air, a knowing that doesn't come from logic but from deep recognition. You may feel things before they happen, sense someone's truth without them speaking a word, or realize what you truly want in situations that have confused you for months. This isn't fantasy or coincidence. It's the sun illuminating the corridors of your subconscious while Pluto opens the hidden doors. Together they create a bridge between your conscious self and your inner oracle, a direct channel to wisdom that has always lived within you, waiting for this precise moment to rise. What once felt like noise in your heart now begins to sort itself into meaning. What once felt like emotional heaviness now feels like instruction. You begin to understand not just what you felt all this time, but why. And in that understanding, healing begins not through effort, but through presence. This is the essence of inner transformation under this rare alignment. No force, no fight. Only the truth being revealed in the softest way possible, so that you can finally hold it and release it with love. There is a kind of release that does not come from breaking chains, but from realizing they were never locked. And under this rare sun trine Pluto, that is exactly what begins to happen, not with drama, not with collapse, but with a natural unhooking of the soul from patterns it no longer needs to repeat. You may not even notice it at first. You'll simply wake up and realize that something that once consumed your thoughts has fallen quiet. A fear that once defined your decisions has lost its weight. A relationship you clung to out of habit or guilt suddenly feels like a chapter already read, complete, honored, and ready to be closed. This is the grace of transformation without struggle. Pluto does not demand in this alignment. It invites. It doesn't dismantle you, it expands you, until what is too small for your new self simply slips away. That toxic pattern, that old belief that told you you're not enough, that routine that once brought comfort, but now feels like stagnation, these begin to dissolve, not because you forced yourself to change, but because you've simply outgrown them. And when something no longer fits, it cannot hold you anymore. You'll notice this in the smallest things, the conversation. You no longer feel compelled to have the need to explain yourself that fades into silence, the space in your heart, where resentment used to live now replaced by stillness. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're not negotiating with parts of you that already know it's time to go. This isn't resistance, it's release. And it happens when you allow yourself to rise without dragging the past with you. This is the rare gift of harmonious Pluto energy, the knowing that transformation doesn't always have to hurt, that letting go doesn't mean losing, and that you don't have to battle your way forward. Sometimes you just have to stop clinging. Sometimes growth feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. Sometimes freedom isn't earned, it's remembered. And so as you move through this energy, don't ask yourself what you should be letting go of. Instead, pay attention to what is already falling away. Trust what feels distant. Trust what no longer excites you. Trust what feels like yesterday's lesson lovingly learned. You are not abandoning anything. You are simply stepping into the version of yourself that no longer needs to carry it. There are moments when the veil between hearts begins to thin, not through confrontation, but through quiet truth, and this is one of those moments. As the Sun and Pluto align in harmonious trine, the way you relate to others begins to shift from the surface down to the soul. Conversations that once felt polite but hollow begin to crumble beneath the weight of authenticity. You'll find yourself no longer interested in performing the version of you that others are comfortable with. Instead, there's a gentle but undeniable pull toward rawness, toward honesty, toward the kind of connection that doesn't require masks to survive. You might notice that certain relationships deepen effortlessly, as if someone you've known for years suddenly sees you for the first time. The space between you opens not with noise but with presence. You'll find yourself saying things you've always felt but never voiced, and in return you may hear truths that feel like home. This is not the kind of vulnerability that leaves you exposed. It is the kind that roots you in your power. Because when Pluto moves through relationships in this way, it doesn't tear down, it reveals. It asks, what is real here, and what is only familiar? Not all connections will survive this clarity, and that too is sacred. Some ties were built on who you used to be, and as that self quietly dissolves, so too will the relationships that depended on it. There will be no dramatic farewell, no heartbreak necessary, just the soft awareness that a certain closeness no longer aligns and a mutual release that feels more like exhalation than ending. Let it be. Relationships that are meant to remain will transform with you, deepening in silence and substance. Those that aren't will gently fade, clearing space for bonds that meet you where you're going, not where you've been. And as the outer world shifts, so too does the inner, especially through dreams and the strange synchronicities that begin to dance around you like secret messengers. On the night of May 23rd and throughout the day of the 24th, your dreams may no longer feel like dreams. They may feel like messages, vivid, symbolic, stitched together by something wiser than your conscious mind. You may dream of people you haven't seen in years, receive guidance in the form of metaphors, or wake with a clarity you cannot logically explain. Don't dismiss these nocturnal visitations. They are your subconscious speaking in the language of soul, and it won't stop with sleep. The universe will find ways to speak to you in daylight too. You'll notice repeating numbers 11, 11, 222, 444, as if time itself is whispering reassurance. A song may play on the radio with lyrics that answer the exact question you hadn't spoken aloud. A stranger's comment might echo a thought you've been silently wrestling with. These aren't coincidences. They're alignments. They're signs that the boundaries between the seen and unseen have softened, allowing your inner world to spill gently into the outer, guiding you, affirming you, walking beside you in silence. So pay attention not just to what others say, but to what the universe is whispering through the fabric of your days. A conversation, a glance, a breeze, a dream. These are the ways Spirit speaks when it knows you are ready to listen. Your body, too, is an oracle, one that speaks not in words, but in sensation, in rhythm, in the language of presence, and on a day like May 24th, it begins to speak more clearly than ever. Under the influence of Sun Trine Pluto, the shifts you felt in your emotions, your intuition, your relationships are not confined to the invisible. They ripple outward, inward, into the physical temple of your being. You may feel a sudden warmth in your palms as if something is awakening in your ability to create and heal. You may notice a tingling between your eyebrows, a pulsing at the center of your forehead, subtle but unmistakable, as though your inner eye is beginning to open and see again. Your breath may slow without effort or deepen, as if your body is preparing for a kind of stillness it hasn't known in a long time. Your chest may feel tight or expansive or vibrational, not out of anxiety, but as a signal that your heart space is being cleared, reset, readied. You may find yourself craving certain foods or suddenly feeling repelled by others as your physical system realigns itself with higher frequencies. These are not random symptoms. They are communications. Proof that your physical form is recalibrating to hold more light, more truth, more power than it once did. This is how embodiment works when the cosmos touches the soul, not just in feeling but in flesh. Listen to these signals. Don't ignore the fatigue that asks you to rest, the sudden burst of energy that compels you to move, the tightness that invites you to release. Your body is not resisting change, it's harmonizing with it. And the more gently you respond to these internal whispers, the more fully you allow transformation to anchor into your everyday life. This isn't about perfect health or performance. It's about becoming a vessel spacious enough to hold the new version of yourself that is being born from the inside out. And here, perhaps, is the most sacred truth of this day: what you choose now will echo for years to come. May 24th is not merely a moment of insight, it is a fork in the road, a rare inflection point in the soul's journey. The decisions you make today, even those that seem small, will send ripples far beyond what you can see in this present moment. You are not just choosing for today, you are establishing energetic templates that will define your next 2 decades. Pluto has entered Aquarius, and for the next 20 years it will reshape the collective story. But it starts here with you, with the choices you make from this centered place. This doesn't mean you must rush to act or force answers where clarity hasn't yet arrived. On the contrary, it means being more present than ever. A single word spoken in truth, a single yes or no from your gut, a shift in perspective, or the letting go of one outdated belief, these subtle movements are more powerful than thunder when made in alignment with your authentic self. So move slowly today, listen deeply, and when the moment comes, and it will, to choose something that feels just a little more like who you're becoming, say yes. Not out of pressure, but out of remembrance. Because on this day, with the cosmos supporting your every step, your yes is not just a decision. It is the first brick in a foundation that will carry your soul into the next era. To receive the gift of this moment fully, you must meet it with intention, not urgency, not performance, but reverence. The energy of Sun Trine Pluto is subtle yet immense, and like all sacred thresholds, it requires a kind of inward stillness to be truly felt. That begins not with doing more, but with doing less. Step away from the noise when you can. Turn down the volume of the outside world so you can begin to hear the deeper one within you. Even just 20 minutes of silence today can become a portal, a space where clarity seeps in like light beneath a closed door. Right. Not because you know what to say, but because your soul has something to reveal. Put pen to paper and let the words come without agenda. Let your hand be guided by the part of you that already knows. What emerges may surprise you. An old truth you didn't realize you'd buried, an idea whose time has finally come, or a gentle message from your intuition that changes the way you see everything. In this kind of energy, journaling is not just a reflection. It is an invocation, a way to invite what has been hidden into the light of your awareness. Listen to your body, not just its aches or hunger, but its wisdom, the way it contracts when something is out of alignment, the way it softens when you are home within yourself. Let your choices today, what you eat, how you move when you rest, be guided not by habit but by sensation, by instinct, by the knowing that your body is already in conversation with the universe. Every breath, every pause, every twinge of energy has meaning now. Allow what no longer belongs to leave, not because you're forcing it out, but because you no longer need to hold it. If something falls away today, an obligation, a thought, a version of yourself, bless it and let it go without resistance. Don't reach backward for what feels familiar if it no longer feels true. The power of this moment lies in your willingness to evolve without effort, to become without control. And as your clarity sharpens, let it guide your choices, especially the ones that seem small. Speak truthfully when invited. Say no when it protects your peace. Say yes when your spirit leans forward even slightly. Reach out to those who meet you in your depth, and allow conversations to go where they've never gone before. This is a time to express who you really are, not to impress, not to perform, but to align. The universe is listening, and when you act from the place within you that is most honest, the energy around you begins to reorganize in response. So today, Do not rush. Do not chase. Do not reach for what is not meant for you. Instead, root into the stillness. Make space for the message that is trying to find you, and trust that in your quietest moments, you are doing the most powerful work of all, becoming the person your future has already been waiting for. And if you've journeyed with me all the way to this moment, I want you to know this: you don't have to understand everything in order to step through the doorway that's opening before you. You only need to be present, truly present in your own heart. May 24th doesn't ask you to be perfect, nor does it demand that you have all the answers. It simply invites you to be more honest, more gentle, and more courageous with yourself. I believe that if you're listening right now, your soul is already ready. Let stillness lead the way. Let what wants to fall away without resistance. And when the call arrives, whether in a dream, a moment of synchronicity, or a quiet pull in your chest, receive it as a sacred sign that you are right where you need to be. Celestine. And I believe that what is awakening within you is not just the transformation of a single person, but the rebirth of a soul that once forgot its own light. I'll see you again in the next rhythm of the cosmos. And until then, remember, you are not alone. You are awakening, and you are being guided by something far greater than what the eyes can see.